Pulling up, bank blocks, PB squad. Fight odds, cash knots. VB lock, never flop. VB lock, to the top. Lock your tie, every fight. VB lock. Yeah.
It's time for more VB MMA picks for Dana White's Contender Series, Week 5. We're in Season 9 VB, and we got 5 fights on Tuesday night from prospects from around the world looking for a UFC contract. And last week, we had some great action with the Contender Series. We're going to go over a few more fights here this week. How's it going, VB?
Oh, I was muted. Sorry.
Oh, I thought you fell asleep.
No, I'm good. Long time no speak. Again, yeah, we're back here, and last week some good fights, a lot of competitive fights, a lot of contracts, and not a lot of money was made, but it was fine. Not every week we can make money, but most of the weeks we can. So this is gonna be one of those weeks where we will make money, and we got some good fights too. The guest canceled last second, but we gotta rock on, and we gotta get these fights out. And we also have the weigh-ins done. That's always interesting to see how these guys look on the scales. So that's a great thing and great info. And people usually ask me about the weigh-ins after the show. So this time I will tell you all about it now. So let's look into these fights.
Yeah, let's get right to it. I will say this. I thought that young man that didn't get the contract last week, I kind of went, wow, when he didn't. I thought he would get the contract there. All right, let's get into this week's card. 5 fights on Tuesday night on ESPN Plus here. Let's go to catchweights here, VB. You said we got to watch these weigh-ins this week before we do the show. And our man, Freddie Vidal here is the one that missed his weight. He's 31 years old, maybe 32. I think we're kind of sketchy on Freddie's age, but he's definitely 31 and 32. And he's coming in at 4 pounds overweight here. 3-0, 1-0 in the LFA. He's won 2 straight in flex fights, both via first-round knockout earlier this year. He's up against 24-year-old Brazilian Felipe Franco, who comes in 8-0. He's 3-0 in a regional competition demo fight. His last bout was in August of last year, though, VB, round 1 sub. So what do you think? This was originally going to be light heavyweights, but we're fighting at 210 pounds here.
Yeah, Freddie came in overweight, and, guy is super green, and, he has only 3 fights, as a pro. So, he took the fight on short notice, actually. So he didn't have a lot of time to cut weight, train, and so on. And he came in overweight, and I kind of gave him a pass because it's a couple days notice, and they called him up, and he took the call, and he's stepping up here for the UFC. So I think it's kind of fair that his opponent takes this fight anyway, because without him, this fight wouldn't be happening. As far as this, stylistically, on some of these guys, there is not much tape, but what I found of Freddie is, he has good grappling, he has good takedowns, he has actually some background in wrestling, and he's usually a guy who takes you down and tries to pound you out, lands ground strikes, and not really a submission guy, more ground and pound. But on the feet, man, he looks very bad, I think he needs a lot of work on the feet. Freddie is, almost like a beginner on the feet. It's like very sloppy, slow, and looks scared when he strikes on the feet. So he's not comfortable at all on the feet. You know, reminds me of like Cody Brundage or something when he gets hurt. You know, like not a good optics. And I think that Felipe is a guy who is a big dude, and you know he's physical. He's 24 years old, and when he takes you down, he can knock you out with ground and pound. He can TKO you. You know, he can land some strikes, but he can also submit you. You know, I've seen this guy take people's backs and back mount them. You know, and stuff like that. So it looks like a guy who's more ready, and looks like a guy who on the feet should have a massive advantage. I wouldn't say he's like a super striker and he's like freaking Mr. Wonderboy number 2 or something, you know what I mean? But he's a good striker. He's pretty good. Compared to Vidal, who is like very uncomfortable on the feet and doesn't want to strike at all. And he'll be shooting here a lot, I think, you know. He has no other choice. And I think he may get a takedown or two. I just don't see him getting control or landing anything meaningful on the ground. And I think Felipe is gonna get up, and that's gonna tire out. Uh, that's gonna tire out the this Vidal style. You know, it's too much for him because usually when he takes people down, he wants them to stay down. But Felipe is gonna get up here a lot, and that's gonna, in my opinion, slow down Vidal. So I'll take Felipe here. I played him already at this, close to this line. Like I think I got like 315. So I played him for full unit, you know, to win 1 unit, and I think he's a deserved favorite, you know. Again, better on the feet, on the ground. Probably they can both take each other down, and if it goes late, I think Franco for sure can get him down because of the cardio and short notice. Um, and yeah, in general, I think he should cover this price. You know, probably he gets a finish here and gets signed. I don't see Freddy Vidal being ready for UFC right now. He's 3-0 and taking a fight on short notice, doing them a favor, and maybe in future, maybe in 5 more fights, 6 more fights, they will remember that. You know, they will pay him forward. But as of now, he's not ready. You know, I just don't think so.
Okay.
2 fights is too low.
That regional scene, we know that I'm going to preview another fight with you here with the next division, and you know that we got a champion from that demo fight, and I was just wondering how that stood up against just the one LFA fight, but obviously ring time is important.
Yeah, you know, Felipe, as you said, demo fight again. Is it like a super high level? Like, no, it's not. You know, it's honestly, I don't really rate it high at all. But you know, at the end of the day, he finished everybody in the first round. You know, what can you do better? Like you can't do anything better. You give him a can, you put him away in the first round. Don't take him to a decision or something, right? You finish him early. So he did his job. Everybody they put in front of him, he dispatched. He put them to sleep, knocked them out. So he did his job. Now he's here. Let's see what he can do at the UFC level. I think this is another first round or second round finish for Freddy. And when the props come out, I would be interested in sub. I would be interested in knockout. You know, if any of them is like plus 500-600 or something crazy, either is live. So I'm very curious about the props. This card actually is good for props in my opinion.
Okay.
Also could be sneaky spots here. So I see George in Space's crew is saying, hey, for sure tomorrow Space we're gonna fire it up and be sure to tune in. We make money every week almost. George and Wade Wilson also says, "What's up, VB? Hey, what's up, my guy?"
All right, VB, no setup here. Got lightweights going here. My man, Jason Blair from Carlsbad, California, my neck of the woods. A 26-year-old. He's 7-3. Was a DWCS loser. Remember last year to Steel. Remember that one? He's amassed his record mostly in Cage Warriors. In fact, all the other fights, 7-2 professionally. He won via round 1 sub in his last bout in April, but he was a minus 650 favorite in that one. And he is up against the man that I mentioned here, 22-year-old Samuel Sanches from Brazil, 10-1, 4-0 in that demo fight. platform where he won a title in 24. He comes in off of a round 1 KO win in Thunder fight, another Brazilian regional, I believe. That was back in March. What do you have here with these lightweights?
Yeah, it's like same thing here. Demo Fight League, and another guy who beat people who are very low level. But the difference is, at least Felipe Franco finished everybody, but this guy actually couldn't finish everybody. Samuel. This guy actually went to a decision with people who are like 7-15. He won those fights, but he still went to a decision with guys who are like supposed to be probably knocked out in the first round. So that was not a good look. But in his other fights, when he gets his finishes, he pushes combinations, and this guy just covering up. He's not like, thing is, these fights don't look competitive. Like this guy's coming out and he's throwing these strikes, and this guy just covering up, and it takes 3 minutes to like finish these guys, and he's throwing these hooks and all this stuff. You know what I mean? But I don't know what to make of that. The guy comes out, covers up, he's putting punches on him, and referee stops it. This is most of his fights, when he gets stoppages. So again, it is impressive to knock somebody out who is 1-5. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it is or not. Like I don't know. And some of these guys he couldn't even knock out. So, but there is some fights like like last fight, for example, where he shows some flash of brilliance. Though he shows some good skills in there. His striking is not bad. I just have a lot of questions about his ground game. I have no idea about this guy's ground game, and there is just not much tape on him either out there. So it's a very hard fight to call. And Samuel is a guy who is like only 22. And I think it's about what he could be, not what he is. Because what he is right now is pretty inexperienced guy. He's fighting these guys who are, 1-5, and freaking. If you look at his records, 1-2, 1-5. I mean, the records are very bad. Abysmal. Like 0-2 and 1-2. And his decision he won against this guy is 1-2 also. The other guy is 7-15. I mean, and the last guy is like good record, but I look at his record and it's also padded record. So it's like, again, it's like Demo Fight League is some padded records, to be honest. But again, he looks okay. He's not like the worst striker in the world. He has some power for sure. He's named the Prodigy. And I don't know about that. We'll see. But I think Jason Blair is a guy who can strike and who has fought a way better people. This guy Florin Bertea, not a bad fighter. Cody Steele, of course, last year, decent fighter. He also has pulled stunts. Like he lost to the guy Ahmad. Well, I forgot his last name, but guy kneebarred him, and the guy is whatever. He's not what a guy that is. I'll say that. If you know, you know. But yeah, I think the guy kneebarred him, and there was a stunt. He was a big favorite there, and he was never supposed to lose that. Even Cody Steele fight was, I believe, like he was, I think, minus like 300. Cody was, so he was not like minus 1,000 favorite or something. And the last fight he came back, bounced back, won the fight against decent guys. So he's been fighting some okay guys. I wouldn't say anybody's like special in those guys, but they're okay. They're much better than Demo Fight League competition. So I think Jason Blair is more experienced in that sense. Like he has fighters who are, most of them are positive records at least. So fighting those guys to me means more, even though they have like 10 fights both, I think. And Jason Blair is a good wrestler. He has wrestling background. He has takedowns. He has grappling. He has submissions. In his record, and he has good armbar series. He has good. He mounts people very well. He's slick with his passes. So on the ground he looks pretty promising. He's pretty good on the ground, I would say. On the feet he has one punch KO power too. And they're giving me plus money. Against the guy who's unproven and fighting Demo Fight League competition. I had to sprinkle plus money on Jason Blair. It's still plus money right now as we speak. Right now, you can get plus 105. Like, I mean, I think he's the side here. People are betting what Samuel Sanches one day may be. When he improves his takedown defense and everything. But I don't know what he is right now. Jason Blair getting his second chance. Usually, I'm not very high on people who get second chances and they lost the first time. But I think Jason Blair is the guy who can win this fight. And at plus money, he can have a big favorite upside. He can look like minus 1,000 favorite. He can take him down over and over With the other guy, I just don't know. There's not much info on him, not much tape on him. His striking looks okay, but his ground game, I have no idea. His submission defense, I have no idea. His cardio, honestly, I don't think it's very good, but we'll see. So I'm gonna take Jason Blair as a plus 105 dog. I think the line is it should be probably a Jason Blair, at least a small favorite here. At least minus 130, 140. I would be okay with, but um, we're getting plus money on it. Let's see what he get on a 6. I'm gonna bet him too. I already have a couple hundred on him as my bet, but if I can get some line on him, maybe I would be okay with like plus 110. Maybe somebody can get me that. Here we go.
Okay, in fact, I want to mention also you mentioned the other fight from a couple years ago was a fighter who has made a little bit of a name for himself. Remember, was Ahmed Hassanzada, who later went on.
He's that guy is.
But he was in the Contender. He fought in the Contender series. Remember, it was later that year. As a matter of fact, last September. Remember, against Mantello.
Yeah, that guy has facing some legal troubles right now, and if you know, you know. But he got knee barred by that guy, and that guy sucks, to be honest. So I don't know. He sucks in many ways, but at the end of the day, I think Jason Blair deserves to be a favorite here. Again, I just don't know how we can make Samuel Blanco a favorite. It's like you're assuming he's good at this and that. It's like he's good at wrestling. He's good. How do you know? I know Jason Blair has wrestling background. I know he can get a takedown or two if he gets hurt, let's say. On the feet, they can both hurt each other, So plus money Jason Blair sounds off to me. So in this spot, I'm taking him here to win. And let's see if we can call the underdog, right.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah.
If somebody disagrees with me, the best part about it is put your money where your mouth is. Come take my action on Jason Blair. We can book at plus money. Instead of getting minus 125 like you see on the screen, on SX you can get plus money. So
yeah, come and get it. Yeah, Jason Blair was a wrestler at University of North Carolina. So, okay, let's continue on here now and get into a matchup here of featherweights. We've got 30-year-old Brazilian here, Larian Douglas from Brazil, but fighting out of Huntington Beach, California. He's 12-5. 4-1 in the LFA, won the interim LFA title in the division last year. He was a minus 140 favorite in that one. He won that one with a round 2 knockout. He's up against 27-year-old Cam Teague from Mobile, Alabama. He was a DWCS loser last year. Remember, VB to Vallejos for his first professional loss. Since then, he's come back and won a pair of regionals. He's 9-1 in his professional career. A big line, though, here with Douglas, a $5 or more favorite and going up.
Yeah, I think he should be 10-1. I mean, Cam Teague looks okay in his spots. Like, he's not a bad fighter. He has okay cardio. He throws a lot of combinations, but he's super open. He doesn't. It seems like when you look at some fighters, I can tell they're drilling techniques. They're drilling body shots. They're drilling the defense. When you throw a body shot, not to get countered, stuff like that. And when I look at him, like Cam, like he's just throwing everything out there. Like there is no defense. There is nothing. Like just throw everything you can and have no care about your health. Like I don't know. I just don't like fighters like that. Who don't drill stuff. They just throw things out there and see what happens. Usually those guys at UFC level, they were in fights. And I don't want to say Cam can never make it to UFC because there are fighters in the UFC who are more technical, but they don't have the cardio Teague has, So they can play a factor. But Larian Douglas has cardio. Larian Douglas has power. He's much cleaner. He can knock Cam out. Also, and he can do anything he wants to Cam, in my opinion. So I think it's a fight where you gotta go with the favorite. Again, am I gonna go out there and like bet minus like 1,000 straight? Maybe not, but if you wanna put like this guy in a parlay to make some money, like minus 170 instead of minus 250, I don't think it's the worst idea because I don't think he loses this fight, And nothing against Cam Teague, but like he needs to clean up his striking. He's getting away with stuff at the regional level because this guy is just built, but he's just throwing stuff to throw out there, and it's not very technical. And I think at UFC level, you gotta be more than that. Again, he's not the worst fighter, but Valerian Douglas is so much cleaner, so much sharper. He has precision and he has snap, in his shots. Cam just throws like, hey, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm gonna go with Valerian here. Pretty confident he can get this done by a knockout at some point. Cam is a tough guy, so he can go to round 2, round 3. So that could be an interesting look if 2-3 is an okay line. I would play it, but there's no way I would bet on Cam though. I don't think he wins. I could be wrong. Again, I could be wrong. Maybe the guy is young, 27, whatever. Maybe he improved, but his style is what it is, in my opinion, at this point. So I don't think he'll make drastic improvements in just a couple of months. So
All right. Touch on a $5 favorite there. I get you. So I want to thank everyone for joining us in the chat as well. Hello to Sports Money today, and been on the air here with a couple of great shows today as well. So thanks, Sports Money, for hosting us here on BB MMA Picks. Let's keep it rolling here right now. A couple more fights to go. Check out Sports Money at the top of the hour on the Sports Money Network here. How about we go to flyweights here, BB? We don't see this season anyway. Haven't seen much from the ladies on the Contender series, but this seems like a pretty decent one here with these flyweights. You got Chanel Dyer, 24-year-old from London, 6-0, 3-0, acquired in PFL, but was last seen a year ago winning a split decision as a $7 favorite, still undefeated and going up against 28-year-old Brazilian Caroline Foro, 8-1. 0-1 in LFA, but has won 6 straight, including a title bout win in Jungle Fight back in March with a round 1 knockout. So at the peak right now, probably, of her career. What do you think of these ladies here, BB flyweights?
Yeah, these are some good prospects. I tapped these girls, and they're not bad. Like Chanel, I watched her tape again. She's not bad. Like, she's a good striker. She has good combos. She knows how to be like fluid out there. She throws a lot of head kicks, and she has if you look at her record, she lost to like Shona Bannon. Not the best look in round 3, but that was a couple of years ago on the ground. So clear weakness for Chanel is on the ground. On the feet, is she unbeatable? No. Like, last fight was mostly on the feet against Valentina, and she was like minus, I believe, 1,000 fairweight, and she barely got by that fight by split decision. So
Yeah,
when she was minus 1,000, she didn't really look minus 1,000. She looked like Pico, and that's that's not a good look. So to me, Shannon looks like a fighter who is like skilled, but sometimes it's about where her head is at. Like, is she mentally there or is she not there? In some fights she looks amazing. In some fights she doesn't look so amazing. Sometimes she looks kind of gun shy. Sometimes she looks kind of hesitant out there. You know what I mean? And I don't want to see that in a favorite where we are talking about Dana White's Contender series, that people come out and throw some haymakers and look for a knockout and look to impress Dana. And if Shannon comes out here and is kind of hesitant and she's not confident, she may get caught by Caro Foro. Caro Foro has one punch KO power. For WMMA, this girl hits very, very hard. Is she like super clean and is she like defensively like amazing? No, but she has great kicks. She has good power. She goes to the body. If you look at this UA Warriors fight, she pieced that girl up from the beginning and dropped her with a body shot, and it was a bad beating. She throws a lot of spinning stuff too. So for WMMA, she definitely has a lot of power, a lot of snap. You usually don't see that kind of power in WMMA. But at the same time, she overextends sometimes. And Chanel, in my opinion, will be kind of outside in this fight. She will be, using footwork around the cage, and Carol Foro, in my opinion, will be chasing her. And that's how I see the fight. You know, I think Carol Foro is going to go forward. She's going to be putting pressure, and Chanel will be kind of on the outside trying to pick her spots. So in that kind of fight, I want to kind of side with the dog because it's like a close fight kind of. But again, if Chanel shows up, she could look amazing here. She could show levels even. Like if she shows up, sometimes she looks so good. Like that girl she fought like Mariam, like she was like talking smack and stuff. Look what she did to her. She defended a couple takedowns, head kicked her unconscious. So that was a good performance. But then look at last fight against 3 and 4 fighter. Tough girl. She seemed she was the Italian girl, but not very skilled really. She wasn't landing at all at some points. Like if she let her hands go, I really believe she could have stopped that girl, but she was just hesitant. And I'm afraid that this line, she could like be too hesitant, too careful. A Garofalo may win this fight based off just going forward, just winning like octagon control. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna pick Chanel because of the upside she may have, and she could look like a big favorite. But as far as like betting goes, it's probably a dog or pass. I I just don't know. Like when I look at the weigh-ins here, it's very interesting, right? Because Chanel actually has never made 125 as a professional. Oh, 115 as a professional. So she just never made strawweight before. Today she looked great on the scale. She was smiling, she was flexing. She looked good on the scale. So her cut seemed to be decent. She didn't seem like you know drained out, and she wasn't hurting at all. She looked great. And Carol Ford kind of looked depleted. Carol Ford looked a little bit worse. That was really surprising, because people had a lot of questions about Shannon's weight cut, and she looked great. And nobody was mentioning Carol's weight cut, but she didn't look so good to me. She looked a little bit like she lost some muscle even. So that kind of makes me hesitant betting the underdog, even though I want to bet her because of the upside she could knock Chanel out. I just can't touch this fight either. This is a fight where I rather stay away and collect the information here and see what happens. But under probably is not the worst idea in this kind of spot. Like both girls have finishes for WMA. Um, they are both very good finishers, to be honest. They have combined, I believe, like how many fights? Let's say 8-1 is Caro Foro, and she has 7 finishes, right? So in 8 wins. And Chanel has 6 fights and has 4 finishes. So the under 2.5 is plus 150. Then maybe where the money is at this point. I don't know who's gonna land anything. It's hard to call. Chanel has good head kicks, but she's not always throwing them. So it's like, what the hell do I do with that? So I'm gonna go with Chanel as a pick because her weight cut seemed to be great, and she looked happy and everything on the scales, and she looked like she's ready, and she took this fight very serious. The Carol didn't look very good, so it always matters. Weight cut is a big thing. So
Yeah.
again, I'm taking Chanel, and the bet is probably gonna be the under 2.5 at plus 150 here.
BB, in that last year, Dyer had qualified for that PFL Europe final, and
Mhm.
Scatizzi ended up having, was her replacement. She had a knee injury and had to be hospitalized for an infection. And then
Mhm.
in the championship, Scatizzi went in there and got worked by Wisniewska, who was going to beat
Yeah.
the opponent for Dyer. Finished her off in just 22 seconds, and then got that money that
Mhm.
Dyer was going to be in competition for, but she got injured.
Yeah, the girl she lost to like Paulina, you said the Valentina for Paulina, and the girl is a super good fighter. She's a nasty fighter. She's a great fighter. So, maybe Shanna got kind of like, fed up with PFL and kind of pissed off and left PFL. I don't know. But I don't know what happened there.
Good fight, it sounds like, with Wisniewska and Dyer.
I would favor. I don't think I would favor Chanel in that fight. I think I would take Wisniewska in that fight. But as far as this fight goes, I'll take Chanel here though, just because she fought good level of competition. Yeah, she doesn't have like the kind of kickboxing that maybe Carol Foro has, but I think that Carol Foro's weight cut was not good, even though Chanel was the question, somehow. So That's MMA, you know. You think one girl is gonna struggle making weight, the other look to me that she struggled. So it's like, let's see what Shannon does. If she's active and if she's fighting her fight, she should win. It's still gonna be competitive, but she should win. And the under to me looks interesting though. We'll see.
All right. Let's go to our main event here now and take a look at heavyweights here with Stephen Asplund, a 27-year-old from Minneapolis. He's 5-1, 4-1 out of LFA, where he's won 2 straight, including his last by second round knockout in April as a more than $5 favorite. He's up here against 31-year-old Anthony Guarascio from Largo, Florida, 3-0, most of it in CFFC. In fact, a championship fight win last April as a plus 275 dog, and he won it by knockout, BB. So what do you think here in heavyweight main event on Tuesday night?
Yeah, and your guy better, you know. I bet Guarascio that fight. There's a big dog. Not because I was super confident that he could knock that guy out, but because it's a heavyweight fight and he clearly has one punch KO power. At regional level, having that kind of power, you know, makes me interested at those odds. You know, whatever always. You know, it's like a heavyweight. Even in the UFC, we don't have a great division. So at like regional level, somebody has that kind of power. I'm like plus 300. What the hell? Like, why not? He sparks him. So that was a great win. They got actually for the contenders we knocked out, and the guy's a grappler, and he didn't grapple, which was, you know, sometimes fighters, of course, right? They need to grapple, they don't grapple. They need to strike, they grapple. You know what I mean? Like that's what happens a lot even at UFC level. So I can't blame a regional heavyweight guy, but again, it's like, why would you not grapple, bro? You know? And then the other guy, Steven Asplund. I mean, I don't know how this guy is winning these fights. Like, if you watch his fights, man, he was done in that Raiden fight. He was cooked. Like, he was dropped, and referee was about to stop it. I think he almost stopped it. He was like, no, I didn't stop it. He was crazy. He was hurt so bad. Somehow, some way, he survives that freaking beating, and then he comes back, and the other guy is so tired beating him up that he gets dropped and knocked out, and he wins. You know, that was one of the craziest fights I've ever seen in my life. Before that, he fought this guy Hammer Morton, like this guy, another guy who is like not very high level, and they are having like freaking war in there. They're going back and forth. You know what I mean? And he somehow pulls it away in the third round by stoppage again. So one thing that Steven has is a lot of heart, but as far as skill goes, like, you know, he is not very skilled. As like, if you take him down, he's not getting up. He has just no ability to get up from his back, you know. And he has some guillotine finishes. They look like, you know, when I was like 5 years old and I was wrestling with my friends, that's how he looks when he guillotines these guys, you know. Looks very, very sloppy, you know. And he's a good fighter, you know, at regional level because he can finish these guys. He wants it more. But UFC level, like, no way. You know what I mean? He can hang in there maybe with some lower level LFA guys, but in the UFC, this guy has no business. Like, he shouldn't be in the UFC. He's not gonna win a fight in the UFC. Even at lower level, I just don't see him winning fights. It's kind of rough to say, but you know, I think he's missing one S in his name. You know, in his surname, I would say. It's like it's just not a guy I would ever bet. People are betting his money line, and if he wins, congratulations. Like, I don't know, you bet a heavyweight guy who, again, always can, you know, land that punch and whatever. But Guarasco is so much more athletic. His ground and pound is so much more vicious. His shot selections is so much better. You know, his boxing is better. He's just tougher too, in my opinion, and I think he's more likely to like get hit by something big here and not go down right away. Like, if Steven gets hit by Guarasco, he could just melt right away in the first shot, you know. But I believe Anthony can take a lot of shots here and just not go down right away. I think he's more conditioned athlete, so I like him here quite a lot. I bet him already. I'm gonna just keep adding. If this line keeps moving down, I'm gonna keep adding on this guy because I just don't see how you can put your money on Steven Asplund. You know, I don't know. Like if you watch his tape, he could have lost half of his fights. This guy could be like 2-5 or so. I don't know. It's like I just could never bet him. You know. Again, props to him for being tough. You know, that's if anything, that's inspiring. Not don't quit. You know, and fight to the end. That's a great thing to have as a fighter, as a human, and everything. But we are talking about the UFC level. We are talking about like who can be a next champion. You know what I mean? Like they're looking for fighters who are like skilled and possible like stars. Is Steven Espan next UFC champion? Like, come on, you know? Like, no, he's not. Is Guarascio next UFC champion? Probably not. But do I believe Guarascio can one punch a lot of heavyweights right now? I do. Can Steven Espan one punch heavyweights? Not really because he's slow. He's not. He doesn't hit that hard. You know, he's a heavyweight. Of course, he is hard, but he's not like one punch KO power that Guarascio has. Guarascio, what's
What
his?
about when he won that Cage Fury title bout with that punch? What was
Yeah.
that one like, BB?
I mean, that was a great shot. There was a knockdown there, follow up shots, and again his ground and pound is vicious, like when you look at this like athletic ability of this guy, it's like night and day. Like Guarasco is a mobile, fast, athletic, explosive heavyweight, and Steven is a tough guy, a very tough guy, but he's like at some level that's not gonna work, and I just don't think it's gonna work here. I think Guarasco is gonna touch him, and it's gonna be over. Some people overcomplicate things. They look at the fights. Oh, it's gonna go late to round 3 and round, 2 and late. Steven Asplund is gonna make a comeback and all this. It could happen, but half of the fights don't leave. Don't go to a decision, right? So, what's gonna happen if it doesn't go to a decision? Because half of the fight doesn't go to a decision, right? So, I think Guarasco is gonna knock him out. I really think that Guarasco is gonna touch him, and Steven is not gonna be able to take those kind of shots. Guarasco also is 3-0 only. He's not experienced at all. He has a lot of work and a lot of improvements to make, but this is a test that he should be able to pass quite easily. And I will go and bet him again. I have -160 on him. I have -180 on him even. It's like I'm pretty confident he should be a big favorite here. And let's see, our SX is like 180 or whatever. I just said like Douglas should be -1,000. So like, let me parlay these guys. I get -130. Why not? Let's request a parlay if somebody can feel it. If not,
okay, let's bring it up here.
Let's see what the best time we can get on this fight. You see how I didn't put each of the people's offers and.
BB placing a live market order here on SXBet, the world's largest blockchain betting exchange, peer-to-peer betting here, our sponsor of the show. Check it out.
Going down. Going down quite a lot. It was -135. It's already, down to minus. Seems like the average I can get -127 because this is the couple lines they're giving us. So. I will go 2-150 on him. I mean, I talked so much smack at this point. I gotta go a little bit bigger than 50 or 100, right? So I'll go 200 to win 150, kind of like that. Let's go. Antonio Guarasco, and Douglas. Where is Dixon Cider? Last week I gave them a parlay, very interesting parlay with cheat, right? What did they call it, Raymond? Oh, I think my time.
Child support. I think probably should have been alimony. That might have been a little more politically correct, but I think it was the child support parlay.
Right. So yeah, you know what I mean. Like let's get going. I'll restart this and try it again. But yeah, I'm taking this parlay right here. I just took it. So yeah, I think that's the parlay to do. If you guys want some fun action, last week he was Cesare and. The main event fighter who won. God, I'm forgetting. But he cashed, right? He cashed easily. This week it's gonna be Guarasco and Larry Douglas. Let's go. Let's get the college funds ready.
Let's do it. Great job, VP. I'm trying to remember now as well. Is that the one with the? Oh man, I'm trying to think of what it was. Great job, man. Just you and me tonight, and great show here. We had a great show also planned for you here this week on the network, VB, for UFC Noche San Antonio. A great preview, and tell us about it.
Yeah, we already had UFC show. If you guys missed it, for sure go and check it out. Not UFC. We had UFC fighter Michael Aswell join us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was a great show. He broke down some of his fights. There is a teammate of his fighting also, and we are all gonna be cheering for his teammate too. He's a super nice guy, and we
Yeah.
broke a couple of fights down for the UFC Noche San Antonio, and I'm excited for that card. Make sure to hit me up on X. There's link below also for my picks for contenders and UFC. UFC is of course premium, and contenders and almost every other league is free or better MMA. Both things are down. You can get my cards. Make some free money from contenders free, some from Road to UFC, from LFA, from all those leagues.
Oh man,
Free.
this week, you're back in action, man. Your favorite ACA going on right this week, or I thought that was actually big cards all week here right now
Yeah,
coming up this weekend, right? I mean,
a
all
lot of
your
MMA.
are going on. Not only, I mean, there's Cage Warriors, Octagon, LFA going on this week. UAE Warriors going to keep you busy.
Oh, I'm more excited than I was 5 seconds ago. I didn't even know some of those leagues were actually going on because I was taping.
Just made
I was
put you to work all night.
I was taping some other leagues, but as soon as I'm done, I will go straight to Octagon because that's people like that league. Octagon is one of my favorites also in Europe, and I've been to Octagon too, by the way. So it's a great week for MMA. Probably like over 100 fights this week. So again, stay tuned. Go to Better MMA, check my place. Contender Series is gonna be free. I already posted 4 or 5 plays for contenders, and I'm gonna post a lot more tomorrow when props drop because
Okay.
unfortunately they take too much time for these props to drop. They usually come on a fight day, which is horrible. But tomorrow I'm gonna have them ready for you all, and let's make this money. And then on Saturday and Friday and all these leagues, we're gonna make some money there too. So
Yeah, and don't forget, check out all those other promotions, VB. Those fights are for free. And I'll just say it, I haven't got to say it in a long time, VB, but look, you can get VB's MMA picks. Just slide into his DMs. And like I've always said, and you give me a hard time, but I just got to reiterate, you'll spend more on the refreshments than you will on the picks. Believe me, VB has a great deal for you. Just make sure you contact him. It's basically just paying for his labor pretty much. So great job, VB, here with the show. Oh, you got something else for us?
yeah, I was just showing this parlay because it closed. You have like 30 seconds to take it. So
Okay.
I'm reloading it now. Let's see the average odds. The 127. So I was gonna go 195. So people don't think I'm BSing or something. I'm not
Nope.
going to BS over this. And here we go. Let's lock
And
this
then
parlay
right
in.
here.
There we go. We are
On
in.
SXBet, the world's largest blockchain betting exchange. We thank our friends for sponsoring here our show, and great to be just you and I here this week. Great job, VB, and we'll be back next week with more VB MMA picks. I just want to reiterate one more time before we get out of here. Make sure you check out our UFC preview for this week for UFC Noche in San Antonio, VB, with Michael Aswell, up and coming featherweight fighter. You said he's going to be there in San Antonio. One of his teammates is fighting as well. And a great card this week with Lopez and Silva for sure in that featherweight main event. We broke down 2 other fights and got Michael's opinion on those fights, including his division, right? The featherweight division with Lopez and Silva. He gave us some incredible insight as to what his mindset as he gets ready to take on Lucas Almeida in just 1 month in Sao Paulo.
Yeah. Gerald Lynch is saying 6 a.m. in Philippines. Just woke up to stop by. This is the reason we do the shows, guys. I
Nice to
love
have you.
the comments like that. And Michael Aswell, of course. Who better to hear opinions from than a UFC fighter, featherweight fighter, and there he's talking about the main event, who's also a featherweight fighter, Diego Lopez and Jason Silva. So I'm super happy to have guests like Michael and some other great people we had, and thanks to them also. They make the show possible. This week, unfortunately, one of the guests had a problem, so he could not make it. But every week we've had the guests for contenders and UFCs, and next week I'm gonna have guests for both. So stay tuned.
We pulled it off this week, VB. We got Michael in there. We had to move around the times a little bit, but I'm so glad that you were able to get him for us and for the audience to hear the insights of him on this card and getting together with you and I for Dana White Contender Series on Tuesday night, week 5 here, a great 5 card. Watch for VB's picks on MMA tips, MMA.tips. So check it out this week. All right, VB, great job, great week. We'll see you next week. Get you more with more VB MMA picks.